When HYBE finally debuted CORTIS after a 6-year hiatus from launching new boy groups, the industry didn't just anticipate their arrival, they braced for impact, fearing the impossible weight of following legends like BTS and TXT. The controversy sparked immediately, not from a traditional scandal, but from the sheer audacity of their teen creator crew identity, which saw teenagers like Martin and James boasting legitimate production credits on major hits, leading skeptics to question if this was genuine artistry or a manufactured marketing ploy to sell authenticity. Their debut album, What You Want, was a sonic collision that rejected the polished perfection K-pop is known for, sparking heated online debates over whether their raw, unfiltered sound and messy creative process were revolutionary or simply lazy. Yet the narrative shifted when their track Go exploded virally on TikTok without promotion, forcing the public to confront the undeniable talent behind the chaos, a reality further solidified by their brutally honest documentary that exposed the ugly, unscripted arguments and pressures of their creative journey. By shattering the idol illusion and winning major awards while doing it, CORTIS proved that their biggest scandal was simply their refusal to color inside the industry's rigid lines. The controversy didn't start with a scandalous tweet or a leaked video, it started with the sheer audacity of their existence. HYBE labels hadn't debuted a new boy group since TXT, and the stakes had never been higher. The public was waiting for a misstep, scrutinizing every move through a microscope. But the real shock came when the group looked at the idol playbook, the strict, polished, hyper-curated path to success, and seemingly set it on fire. They weren't trying to be the next BTS. They weren't trying to be the next TXT. They were trying to be something the K-pop machine hadn't quite accounted for: a chaotic, unpolished, and painfully authentic creative collective. And that terrified people. Before we even heard a single note, the insider rumors began to circulate. It wasn't just that they were a new group, it was that they were too involved. In an industry where rookies are often seen but rarely heard, CORTIS arrived with a resume that made veteran producers sweat. Whispers in the industry suggested this wasn't a manufactured group, but a teen creator crew. The members weren't just faces, they were the brains behind the operation. Martin, only 17 years old, was already being hailed as a prodigy, credited with writing and producing for heavy hitters like TXT's Deja Vu, Illit's viral sensation Magnetic, and ENHYPEN's Outside. James, the eldest at 20, had already choreographed viral moments. In the cutthroat world of K-pop credit culture, this raised eyebrows. Usually, idols fight for years to get a single producing credit. Here was a rookie group claiming authorship of their debut album, What You Want, right out of the gate. While fans celebrated the talent, skeptics questioned if this was a marketing ploy by HYBE to manufacture authenticity by over-crediting inexperienced kids. The cynicism was palpable. Were they really geniuses, or was this just the industry's most elaborate illusion? The tension broke on September 8, 2025, when the full album dropped. If the industry expected a safe, polished pop record to minimize risk, they were dead wrong. The project was a collision of sounds that shouldn't have worked. Tracks like Go exploded with a chaotic energy that felt almost reckless, while Fashion played with structural expectations in a way that alienated purists who preferred the standard verse-chorus formula. The production was layered, complex, and according to some critics, messy. But that mess was the point. They were rejecting the hyper-scripted uniformity K-pop was famous for. They opted for a salad bowl approach to creativity. Everything thrown in, raw and unfiltered. This wasn't the clean, synchronized perfection of second and third generation idols. This was kids in a room, arguing over beats, recording voice notes on phones, and turning those scraps into an album. The rawness of the vocals and the visible lack of rigid synchronization in their performances sparked heated online debates. Some called it revolutionary, others called it lazy. Netizen forums lit up with arguments. Is lack of polish now considered art? Are they hiding behind creativity because they can't dance in sync? The discourse was brutal, dividing the fandom and critics down the middle. But the true controversy, the moment the narrative shifted from skepticism to undeniable reality, was the viral explosion of the track Go in the weeks following the debut. It was a phenomenon that no marketing team could have manufactured, and it happened almost by accident. The song had no heavy promotion, no countdown teasers, and no radio push. Yet, it took over TikTok and short-form platforms like a virus. The catalyst wasn't a high-budget music video, it was James's choreography. It was complex, intricate, and impossible to ignore. Suddenly, thousands of covers and dance challenges flooded the internet. But here lies the irony that fueled the fire. People were attempting the choreography, realizing how technically difficult it was, and in the process discovering the group. The virality stripped away the shield of nepotism or hype. It forced the public to confront the reality that these rookies had genuine skill. The Go challenge wasn't just a trend, trend, it was a confrontation. It made viewers curious about who these kids were, dragging them out of the shadow of the Big Three narrative and into their own spotlight. However, the most revealing and perhaps most controversial aspect of their debut wasn't the music, but the documentary series that followed. In an era where companies tightly control the narrative, HYBE and CORTIS pulled back the curtain completely. And what they showed wasn't the glossy hard work montage fans are used to. It was ugly. It was uncomfortable. It was real. Viewers watched the members argue over lyrics, scrap entire songs after weeks of work, and struggle with the immense weight of expectation. We saw the messy, uncertain process of creation. For many, this was a breath of fresh air. But for the industry traditionalists, it was a breach of the idol contract. Idols are supposed to be perfect, aspirational figures, not squabbling teenagers questioning their own worth. The documentary showed them staying up until sunrise, fighting creative battles, and adjusting their concepts in real time. It revealed a group that was willing to fail in public just to get it right. This level of transparency was risky. It shattered the mystique. It sparked a massive debate about the mental toll of the idol system. Were these kids being exploited for content under the guise of creative freedom? Or were they finally breaking the chains of a system that treats idols like products? The documentary didn't answer these questions, but it forced everyone to ask them. The scrutiny on their identity became even more intense when analyzing their place in HYBE's lineage. Being the third boy group meant they were inevitably compared to the two giants before them. BTS reshaped the global landscape. TXT carved out a distinct niche. CORTIS faced the impossible task of defining a third path. They actively rejected the lore-heavy universes that HYBE groups are famous for. They didn't want a fictional storyline spanning years. They wanted their story to happen in real time, shaped by what they were feeling now. This was a direct challenge to the company's established formula. By refusing to play the world-building game, they risked alienating fans who loved the immersive storytelling HYBE is known for. It was a gamble that could have isolated them. Instead, their Color Outside the Lines EP and the What You Want album debuted at number 15 on the Billboard 200, selling over 436,000 copies in the first week, the highest for a rookie in 2025. The success was a slap in the face to the skeptics. It proved that audiences were starving for something that felt real, even if it was flawed. As they picked up Rookie of the Year awards at the Mamas and Golden Disc Awards, the whispers changed from "Are they talented?" to "Are they getting too big too fast?" The narrative shifted to the burden they carry. Martin, with his mixed Korean-Canadian background, and James, with his Chinese-Thai heritage, brought a global sensibility that challenged the pure Korean idol archetype, which still faces resistance in certain conservative circles of the fandom.